I really love online shooters. I've been playing them ever since the late 90s, and during my teen years, I dumped so many hours into them I can't even begin to count. But during the early 2010s, I found it actually pretty hard to find an online shooter that I actually liked, at least one that was new and not just a sequel to an established franchise. But starting in 2015, new online shooters actually started to get released, ones that I enjoyed. Games like the unique and playful Splatoon from Nintendo, or Blizzard's massively popular Overwatch. But my actual favorite has been Rainbow Six Siege from Ubisoft. Rainbow Six Siege is a tactical multiplayer shooter and essentially an evolution of the Counter-Strike gameplay model, where 2 teams of 5 go head-to-head either attacking or defending an objective. But unlike Counter-Strike, each player gets to choose from a list of characters known as operators, and each operator has their own special ability and unique set of equipment to use. There are also different operators for attacking teams and defending teams, and these operators have been designed in a way to facilitate asymmetrical gameplay, where not only do they have their own unique abilities they bring to the board, it can also augment the abilities of a teammate operator or counter the abilities of an enemy operator. For example, defenders can use barricades to cover up doors and windows, which will prevent an attacker from seeing inside, and it will force the attacker to have to go through the barricade if they even want to enter the room. But the attackers, on the other hand, can use a breaching charge, which is a pretty common equipment item, or use the ability of a special operator, like Ash, who can blow through a wall or barricade from afar with a rocket launcher, or Sledge, who can use a sledgehammer to easily break through barricades and walls. But defenders can counter that by reinforcing the walls, which prevents Sledge and Ash from blowing through them, and funneling attackers to a door or window instead. That is unless attackers brought an operator like Thermite, who can place special charges which will blast through reinforced walls, or Hibana, who can blow smaller holes into reinforced walls from afar using her special ability. But defenders can counter those. They have Mute, who can disrupt any electronic devices with his own special devices he places down near walls, or Bandit, who can use their special ability to electrify reinforced walls. But attackers can still counter that if they have Thatcher, who can throw an EMP grenade which will just destroy any electronic device, or Twitch, who has their own special shock drone which can shoot a jolt at any electronic device and destroy it. Along with the operators, the game also has other factors that will spice up the tactics a player can use, such as procedural destruction, which allows you to blow up about a fourth of the walls in the game, along with barricades. This gives you the ability to create new entryways to a room, like the walls to the side, or you can break a hatch from above, or you can knock holes into the ground to create new vantage points to shoot from. You can also just play with the physics like this, to knock huge holes from walls by shooting in a circle. There's also the existence of cameras and drones in the game, where attackers can use drones to scout out the defenders, and defenders can use cameras to get an idea where the attackers might be located on the map. Plus, the cameras and drones can mark the enemies and give the rest of the team a way to see where the enemy is, and plan accordingly. There's also the reality where defenders have limited resources, meaning they can't protect every single entryway into a room, so there's always going to be some kind of vulnerability. Plus, either team could choose a set of operators that are easily countered by the opposing team. All these factors just force you and your team to be prepared for whatever the enemy team might throw at you. The multiplayer has 3 different modes, but they kind of all boil down to essentially the same thing, which is protect the objective, where either you have an objective that needs to be assaulted or defended, or you gotta eliminate the enemy team. The minor differences in these modes make certain strategies and operators more or less ideal. For example, you probably don't want to use Fuse, who has the ability to launch a cluster of grenades into rooms, if you're playing a hostage mission. Usually doesn't end well. There's also Terrorist Hunt, which is just players playing these exact same modes, but playing against bots instead of other humans. There are 16 different maps to play on currently, with 3 more coming out this year for free, and each of them has their own day and night cycle. All the maps provide different challenges for attackers and defenders. For example, the airplane level is extremely narrow, with limited entry points, so the attackers are funneled through very specific entry points. There's also Favela, which has so many breakable walls and entry points, it gives defenders an abundance of real estate to keep an eye on and makes it very difficult to defend. Each match also forces you to defend multiple locations within a map, so you need to constantly come up with new strategies. Even if you're repeating the same plays, it's doubtful the enemy is going to fall for the same plan twice. Each round of a game is split into 2 phases, a preparation phase and an action phase. During the 45-second prep phase, attackers need to use drones to locate the objective, figure out what operators the defenders picked, and if there are any defenders roaming outside the objective. They also need to locate the best place to breach into the structure. Defenders, on the other hand, need to set up their defenses and do their best at preventing the drones from locating that objective. Then comes the action phase, which is the meat of the round, where both sides go at each other and have 4 minutes to complete the objective or kill the other team. It's possible to get a draw if the last players in each team kill each other, but that's exceedingly rare. Before each match starts, you'll know what map you're on and what game type it is, as well as what operator your teammates choose. And there are so many fun operators to choose from, like Caveira for the defenders, whose special ability is her silent step, which allows her to sneak up on an enemy and makes her movement practically inaudible. Also, as an added bonus, while using her silent step, she can interrogate wounded enemies before she kills them, which will give out the locations of the rest of the team to everyone on Caveira's team. It can change the tide of a match instantly. She's also great for roaming around the map outside the objective room and catching attackers off guard. There's also the operator Montaigne for the attacking team, who carries an enormous shield that covers his entire body and can't be broken or penetrated by bullets. He's effective at peeking into a room and scouting, providing cover for teammates to shoot from behind, and it can be used to block a door when trying to secure an objective. The only way to kill him with the shield up is to maneuver behind him and attack him, or use some form of explosive or a gas grenade. There are a lot of fun moments you can have with Montaigne. There's some good customization with your operators, from what weapons they select, what weapon attachments you use, and weapon skins and charms for aesthetics. And also, each standard operator comes with their own introduction video to show you what the character's ability are and kind of give them some personality. Plus, each operator allows you to check a biography on the character, as well as your own personal stats for that character, so you can see which characters you use the most and which are your best. As much as I enjoy the game, it isn't without problems. Like firstly, it's an Ubisoft game, so that means you're required to install the cumbersome Uplay to just play the game. And I know for a lot of people that's a deal breaker in and of itself. The game also suffers from some really iffy netcode. Like you can see yourself shooting an enemy and even see some blood splatter, but upon being killed by that enemy, the kill cam reveals that their health is still at 100%. You will also get kicked out of a match or encounter a server error when trying to find a match, a lot more than it's appreciated. There's also the fact that the game makes sure everyone gets connected before a round starts, so if anybody's running off a 56k modem powered by a hamster, you're fucked. It can end up taking as little as 5 or 10 seconds or as long as several minutes. The servers also have a tendency to go down more than any other game, so it can occasionally be a struggle to play it. The worst part really is that this is an issue that's plagued the game since it launched over a year ago. The game also comes with a transaction market for cosmetics, where weapon skins, weapon charms, uniforms, and headgear can be purchased. This doesn't bother me personally, as you can either pay money for the cosmetics or grind in-game points by playing matches, though it can cost up to 25 or more hours to grind out the necessary points for a simple charm or skin, which is a tad much. My only real issue with the market is the cost of DLC operators. The game comes standard with 20 operators, 10 attackers, and 10 defenders, but there are currently 10 DLC operators out, with 6 more on the way. To unlock the original 20 operators, a player needs to grind in matches for about 25 hours to unlock all of them, because they altogether cost about 25,000 points. The DLC operators, on the other hand, are 25,000 points per operator. So, calculating the math here, each match averages at about 15 minutes. And looking at my own playing, I average about 130 points when I lose a game, and 270 points when I win. So that's about 250 to 440 hours to unlock all 10 DLC operators depending on how I'm playing, which is a tad ridiculous. Like, if you're getting the game now, the only way to get these DLC operators is to spend hundreds of hours grinding for points, pay $100 for the complete edition of the game, or pay $30 for a Year 2 Season Pass and $20 for the Year 1 operators in a bundle. It's kind of stupid. Now, it's not as if the DLC operators are vital to play the game or anything, and they're not overpowered compared to the standard operators. Plus, if you're a regular player, grinding isn't that much of a hassle. It's just the price of operators combined with the price of cosmetics, meaning you have to dedicate your first 250 to 440 hours spending money on the operators, because about half the cosmetics cost the same amount as points of the DLC operators, or more. There's also the fact there are 6 new operators coming out, which will be another 150 to 264 hours. I guess the one silver lining is that I find every DLC operator to be worth it. Like, they're all interesting and fun to play so far, so at least you're not paying for a dud. Another issue some might have is the fact that it's essentially a multiplayer-only game, meaning there's not much of a single-player campaign. I mean, there are 11 situation missions, which essentially play out as both tutorials and single-player versions of Terrorist Hunt, which are just bot-match versions of multiplayer. I mean, I personally prefer this method of single-player to the narrative campaigns of other shooters, because I feel those often bog down the game and don't play out anything like the multiplayer does. Like, it reminds me of Star Wars Battlefront games, where you just play the multiplayer matches but against bots, and it just had some kind of loose narrative that tied it all together. I personally like that it's a campaign that plays similarly to the multiplayer, and you can beat it in about an hour. Like, it doesn't waste your time, and it gives you some easy points to help you unlock a few operators before you start playing online. But some might see it as a lack of content, and complain considering the price tag is still about $40. I know it may sound like I'm harping on the game a lot, but it's not a bad game, it's just a bit rough around the edges. Like, the core game is great, and is easily one of my favorite online shooters in years. The focus on teamwork and tactics is great, and any team that coordinates their action well over the mic will have a clear advantage. Plus, the procedural destruction is a blast to play around with. There's also the diverse set of operators to choose from, like Valkyrie, who's a defender who can set up 3 more cameras to locate attackers with, which is extremely helpful because players will tend to learn where the other cameras on the map are located and then shoot them out. But with Valkyrie, you can set up cameras that the enemy has no idea where they are, and then use it to flank an unsuspecting enemy. It also has a player base that just keeps on growing, and it currently has the 12th largest active player base on Steam. It's also still rolling out new content like maps, operators, and cosmetics. The latest season came out with Operation Velvet Shell this February, and it introduced the new map Coastline and 2 new operators. There's Mira, who's a defender that can set up these one-way mirrors on walls. It gives the defenders the ability to see an attacker sneaking up on them, without allowing the enemy to see inside. The mirror can then be broken if needed, and turned into a murder hole to unload on an enemy team attempting to breach. There's also the new attack operator, Jackal, whose special ability is his black light visor. You can see the footprints where the enemy's been and then track them, providing a really good counter for defenders who are acting as roamers. He can also use his ability 3 times during a match to track a set of footprints specifically to find where the operator is and reveal their exact location to his entire team. Even with an iffy netcode, I fully recommend this game if you're looking for a good tactical online shooter, or just a solid multiplayer game in general. It's currently available on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One for $40.
Can you, like, nitro sell it or something? I need to place my shit in there. Nitro sell it. Oh my god.
Well, thank you for watching, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and also, if you haven't, check out my other work. You can also check the description and find my Twitter page, and feel free to leave a comment and tell me what you think. Have a great day.